Coach, the decision not to turn to Zach or Kaysen tonight when it was a one-run game in the eighth inning, why did you decide to do what you ended up doing?
I think there's some things that, I will always owe you answers. It's just being the competitive strategy with a game to play tomorrow. I'm going to choose not to answer that because I wouldn't want to put my team in a disadvantageous, position in any game.
Playing from behind, how tough is that?
We did a good job coming back last night. There's 4 games recently that we've been behind in that we shuffled the deck, try to get some more offense in there, and in 2 of those we actually came back and won. Certainly not something you want to make a habit of. I do like the fight in the team. As you referenced, we were able to hit a couple homers there and get it back to 3-2. It just they got a good team and a good staff, and we tried to hold them down as long as we possibly could. Zach's thing was we put him in a game last night to be able to win. Just wasn't comfortable that was the best thing for him or for us to run him back out there tonight in the same situation that we did. So it's good. He should be available tomorrow. I would think, but I just didn't feel good about that. It is tough to play from behind, and you got to stay with it. With some of these SEC teams, they're going to pop some out of the yard every once in a while, and just got to keep going. I think we found some good matchup stuff offensively that's worked out for us, and we need just to string kind of that brand of baseball together that we had going a couple weeks ago. Even in last Thursday night's game, which we did come from behind too. So it's tough, but we just got to keep going.
You mentioned number 3 that they deserve to win.
Yeah, they did. There's no question. Well, I mean, the quality of that bats. I mean, Killen's, good player, and he's back to full strength and full speed. He's, had been dealing with an injury for a while. He's barreled up some good pitches. Like, I don't think, they're all mistakes. And he's able to stay on it and hit it. We were able to navigate, through and around, Fisher a couple times. We're able to keep Curley off base. So there was some positives, but that Chapman, Bargo area of the order was real tough on us tonight, and not a surprise. They're one of the best teams in the country. I believe we're one of the best teams in the country, in one of the best leagues. But you get tested so much that sometimes it doesn't always feel like that. But I feel good about where we're at heading into tomorrow, and we got to keep getting better, and we got to compete really hard to win tomorrow.
What did you think of your team's approach to the night tonight?
I thought Phillips was really good, and you have the most wins in college baseball over the last 4 or 5 years when you can pitch like that. They won a national title last year largely because they could pitch like that, and I would argue the raw stuff of the 2 guys we've seen is probably better than what they had last year, and it doesn't mean that they're better than they were. I'm not going to make judgments on somebody else's team or program, but man, he was throwing strikes. It was firm. He was mixing, and it just, to me, and I don't know this from the side, it just didn't seem like he was missing over the heart of the plate very much. We didn't hit a lot. It didn't seem like we got a lot of pitches we could do a lot with either. And so I'm going to credit the pitcher in this instance, knowing that we can keep chipping away at this thing and getting better.
You mentioned trying to find some things on offense. I think Milan was hitting 200 in SEC play coming into the weekend, 2 extra base hits tonight on a home run. How big would that be?
That was great. Yeah, it's huge. It's we had this style of team earlier in the year early in SEC play where not everybody had to have a good game for us to go enough offensively to win. Even last week, we picked up a couple wins that way. But he's sitting in the 5 or 6 hole, which means there's a chance he's coming up with guys on base. He's athletic enough to set the table. Really liked seeing that tonight. He's working hard, and he's done such a good job at shortstop, and that's a big, high demand type deal. And I think he's done a great job there. Had some big hits, obviously, even not having the success maybe that he wants to. But I like seeing him hit the ball hard the other way. I think that's a good sign. And competing, like I said, I mean, we just didn't do much with the starter, and So it was good to see Steven do that.
A couple times tonight, you guys punted with 2 outs. What was the reason behind that?
Yeah, one of them kind of went rogue and kind of did that on their own. The other one, I know what Jake was trying to do. They shifted out of there, and literally, if he just puts it down the line past the pitcher, it's a hit. And Steven comes up, and I actually think he had a double in that at bat. So it's too bad that we didn't execute right there. And then the same thing plays out. Now you got a couple runs on the board, and this place is going, and you're feeling a little bit different. It's just about executing. Spent a lot of time on that, and didn't get him down tonight.
Derek's executed that bunt a lot this year.
Yeah, he's really good at it. I would have liked to have seen him do it the at-bat before, actually. They were giving it to him with a runner on third and 2 outs. And this happens with really good hitters, and it was loud in there. I was trying to get his attention, but they're so locked into what they do. And I'm okay with that. I'll live with that with Derek Curiel all day, every day. But he has done that this year and has been successful doing that. And Philip's a good athlete, too. Obviously got off the mound twice and fielded those. Made a nice play on that ball. Danny smoked right back at him. So, again, credit their pitcher for not only pitching good, but fielding his position well also.
What did you like from Anthony's performance tonight?
Everything. He gave us a chance to win and, extended. And, I was really hoping for to strike out that last guy because that would have been strikeout. And, really trying to feed some momentum into our team and our offense and the stadium. And he got close, and we just couldn't quite do it. And luckily, it's a wild inning, but we were able to get out of it still at 2-0. So, I thought I'm fine with where he's at. I think he continues to get better. Ends up with 2 runs, over 5 2/3 innings. And, you take that against a team of that caliber, and that's what he's going to see the next couple weeks or 3 weeks. So we'll need more of that.
On that ground ball that Jared couldn't quite handle, how would you want him to?
Yeah, and we briefly talked about a few things after the game. That was one of them, and he just owned up. He's got to what we would call body up or keep it in the infield, and so he tried to pick it, and it's a tough play, but he makes that play. He's played great defense, and I've said this, and for you guys that have been here for a few years and doing this, I said something to him after 23. It's I want you to be such a good first baseman that people don't talk about how great a first baseman Trey Morgan was. And I think he's done that. That was a rare, mishap over the last couple of years. He's done a really good job handling the ball at that position. Just got to get in front of it.
On that Larson hit, they said it hit his foot.
Hit his leg. It was a foul ball, and I just didn't love it because they didn't call it immediately. You can't challenge that, but they were out of challenges. In respect to the rules and umpires and officiating, though, their job is to get it right. They got it right, and it worked against us right there.
So numbers haven't really mattered for you when it comes to Braswell, but that home run in his first of the year, how much does that just could get him going another ball?
Yeah, I'm really good with the at-bats he's taken. And for the last whatever games, I'm really good with where he's at offensively. And I like to compete, that I see out of Michael. And what I mean by that is, we have some guys that go through a little bit of tough stretches where, he's just kind of just in there and going for it. And whatever baseball he has left, he's giving it the best that he has. And that's a really good quality. And he's a good defender. And so he's valuable to play for us right now.
Time for 2 more.
So you talked about the ability of your team over the past couple of games to kind of fight back from being down. But what's the key to kind of starting a little bit better and getting out to that lead? What's the key to that?
Yeah, well, for the last 2 days, I'm going to tip my hat to the dude on the mound for both. And, you guys have all seen a lot of baseball here. There's a couple last year that were pretty tough to deal with. Hagen Smith comes to mind. Thank God he's on the White Sox now. I don't think they're in the SEC. But those are 2 pretty good performances. And, that's who you have to beat to go to the College World Series and compete for a national title. Very well aware of that. But this team also, we did find a way to win a game that Liam Doyle pitched. We did find a way to win a game that Pico Khan pitched. We did find a way to beat Riley Quick, Witherspoon, So a lot of that's because we've pitched well. and defended well and kept games close, and we've been pretty good in close games. It's just like tonight it just felt like we were hanging on, you know what I mean? And it was tough to score as well. So, tough win, and you just credit Tennessee.
Chase Shores coming out of the bullpen tonight. He was throwing 100, but what's the next sort of?
Well,
step for him?
I think there was some positives. He got us out of that inning there. That could have got real sideways, the inning that he came in. So that was a great one, as we call it, to keep it at 3-0. And then, I just think credit Tennessee's lineup. We were at a spot we felt really good that there was a little bit of a run for him. And we hit the leadoff guy of the next inning, if I'm not mistaken. And a good hitter got a good swing off of him and hit it. And we actually he got Fisher, if I remember right, in that sequence. And then they stole a base. So we were able to intentionally we intentionally walked him once they stole right there. Excuse me. And then we were set up right there. It's like we felt like Inslee was the guy that we had him kind of targeted for before the game, and once he got on base, it was tough. I thought Cooper did a good job. He came in, he got the strikeout, and Chapman has been swinging the bat really well lately. Those other guys have maybe bigger names, but he's a really good player. And then we got the ground ball with Bargo, so I was pleased to see that out of Cooper. That's two good hitters, that he came in and he did what he was supposed to do. And I thought he was really poised. And some of that's going to get overshadowed a little bit. I thought Primo, big strikeout there. Fontenot, it's great to get him back on the mound tonight. He's got good stuff. It was good to get him an opportunity. We're looking for a couple more guys to pick up something for us. And that was very valuable, considering, what we have to do to hold that team down tomorrow. That was a valuable outing.
Corey has one more.
Jay, Derek's on-base streak ended tonight. I think it is at 43 games. How do you
He's
just-
amazing.
How do
Yeah.
you just put that into words?
Thanks for asking that question. He's an amazing player. He's an amazing competitor. Does everything he can to help us win. Very proud of being here, and he's tough-minded. You know what I mean? I think he would tell you maybe he got a little outside his plan tonight. And that happens, and it's almost an oddity because it don't happen to him very much, and that's a great thing. I'm sure he'll just start another one. That would be my guess, knowing him. And it's pretty cool. He texted me the other night, he's disappointed he didn't do a double play. I think he did 2 double plays the last game against Alabama, and he's like, hey man, I want to rip that thing through the 4-hole tomorrow. And that's what he did to tie the game, and he's got the knack to do that. And again, I'm not going to sit in here and do this every time, but I think you have to credit the starting pitcher for the last 2 days. And Phillips was able to do something, and Loy, I guess, in the last at bat, nobody's been able to completely keep him off base, so that's probably a pretty good indication that it's a pretty good pitch game by Tennessee tonight. All right, thanks guys.